Fran Brown this, Fran Brown that.
If you want me to take a lie detector, Brian, I'll take it.
Portal watch this, Portal watch that.
The dog Marmaduke. People say I like that dog.
What are you talking about playing walk-on? Who do you think walked onto the team?
Anybody that thinks this is going to come back is either naive or plain stupid.
All across CNY.
Kick the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy.
It's the 315.
Hardy faking, feeds the Grace Jameson. Got it on the game!
He scores! Here's Brian Higgins.
Oh, happy Friday, everyone. Weekend is near. There's a college football playoff game tonight? Man, for something that's been in the works for like a decade, that really snuck up on you. Notre Dame, Indiana tonight, but welcome in here in the Q's Utica, Rome. Sup, Rome? How we doing here on this Friday? Has anyone smirked at anyone today yet? Huh? Full smirk watch is on here in the 315. Busy Friday show as always. Mario will be by. Half hour out. Sacco six-pack. The man who sort of knows will sort of know some stuff. He thinks he sort of knows about all the college football playoff games. We'll get into that as we go along. We'll do a little no wrong answers for the basketball game on the morrow. Nooner, Brooklyn, Cuse, Maryland, Edward Lee. We're going to try this out. We're going to talk to Ed Lee from the Baltimore Sun, who covers the Terps. This could go horribly wrong. We've baked that into the plan, that horribly wrong is a possible outcome. Ed's on the train from Baltimore to New York for the game. I don't know if he's on that Acela Express you hear about. Peter King was always talking about that back in the days of the Monday morning quarterback. We'll have to get some train questions. Or it might be like, this phone call is terrible. He's on a train, and we may just move on. We'll figure that out next hour. I'm not entirely sure how boiling the water is we're getting into with that one, but we're, tis the holiday season. We're just going to wing it with that and see how it goes down. Coming up later in the old radio program here today. Portal watch, anything happening? All that good stuff as we get going here on a Friday. Final basketball game before Christmas is tomorrow. Getting you ready for the bowl game. The bowl game is a week from tonight. Had our Holiday Bowl preview show yesterday. If you missed it, available in its entirety on the Q Sports Talk YouTube page. I know all of y'all have seen about give or take 17 seconds of it. I know a lot of you have seen 17 seconds of our bowl preview yesterday with the captain of the Smirk one, Kyle McCord. We'll revisit that and go a little bit into a quasi-recent time machine to get some of McCord's other thoughts on the matter at hand from yesterday that I think are going to be kind of, again, not exactly, light-shedding, but fascinating to hear a little bit more in full and a little bit more without the story being as, ever-present in your face as everything going on right now. So lots going on in the Kyle McCord world or nothing going on. It's one or the other. It's one or the other. There's either lots or nothing going on. Chris Carlson of Syracuse.com, he's just put this out within the last hour that McCord filed a waiver that would have granted him extra year. I believe this was back in the spring, and he's now challenging that decision through an appeals process. Again, I think a lot of assumptions are being made on this. Like, okay, if the waiver is granted, that he's automatically coming back. I think if the waiver is granted, and who knows what the timeline on that would be, it just opens up other options for McCord, of which the NFL draft is going to remain one regardless of this, with a decision that's going to have to be made in a timely manner for all parties, for Kyle, for Fran Brown, for the football team, for everybody, for portal quarterbacks, this, that, and whatever. But we'll explore that a little bit more as we kick things off today.
We start with the Burdick BMW opening drive.
All right, so let's open it up. And I think this applies because this story, I believe, is certainly folded into this.
The portal is open.
Prepare ship.
for ludicrous speed.
Players on the move.
Scotty, beam us up fast.
Where are they going?
To infinity and beyond.
It's another edition of Portal Watch.
Ludicrous speed. Go!
All right, so let's go into the old Portal time machine here. It is day 12, Portal Watch 2024. It was a year and 3 days ago that Kyle McCord committed to Syracuse University, and what a glorious day it was. We celebrated the first anniversary of Kyle McCord Day on Tuesday. It was the 17th of December. On the 19th of December, 2024, a.k.a. yesterday, we had QB1 on our bowl preview show, and this happened. Do you have anything to say about the idea of a waiver or coming back or anything that's floating around about you right now?
I can't confirm or deny, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out.
Yeah, I assumed that was going to be the answer. We had to ask Kyle. All right, and that was came with the smirkiest smirk that ever did smirk from Kyle McCord, which all of you all have decided exactly what it means. Which is, yeah, exactly. Who knows? You know, there's rumors aplenty about this. There's assumptions aplenty about this. And there's the simultaneous track that, is this likely? Is this not likely? It sounds like it's already been denied once by the NCAA. It's not in the business of denying much anymore. Does the Diego Pavia situation, even though it's different from Vanderbilt a few days ago, affect this in any way? I don't know. Who knows what affects what anymore when it comes to eligibility in college football? Miami had a guy this year as a tight end. He's in his 9th year. Like, there are no rules anymore. Just keep showing up. What are they going to do? So, who knows where this is all going to go? But tip of the cap to our Tim Leonard. So, Tim texted me and Jordan earlier. Apparently, you know, a devout viewer of the Kyle McCord show. And the beauty of having Kyle on every week, like we did all season long, in various ways, in various fashions, is, here's the thing about it. We recorded all of it and left it all on YouTube. It's all there for anybody to go and see and listen and search out, of which Tim did earlier today. Like, I knew I had talked to Kyle about this, but when and where, man, I've talked to the guy a lot. Tim found it. So I want to play you this, and I think this is interesting given what we know now or what we think we know now. This is from November 5th, the Kyle McCord Show on November 5th. One, a good reminder that you can be a listener in the chat when we do these shows and ask people like Kyle McCord questions, which then led to this. All right, Ryan Mullen wants to know this, and the answer to this is no, I believe. You don't have a COVID year, right? You're actually young enough, you weren't even here then, right?
Yeah, COVID, that was my senior year of high school, and then got to college, obviously, the next year, so didn't get that COVID year.
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy, right? Because it does allow for guys on the team to be like, there's 24, 25-year-olds hanging out. Hey, we're still in college, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it is crazy. I mean, I think, you know, guys can get like a 7th year if you get the COVID, you redshirt, and then you get like a medical redshirt. Like, you can play 7 years of college football if you want. But yeah.
I know this. Syracuse fans would love to have you back next year. You have no eligibility left, right? Can we figure out a way? Can we petition somebody? What can we do about this?
I mean, my freshman year, I mean, I've heard guys who have fought for it. I played in 5 games. The rules you can play in 4 in redshirt, I played in 5. So the plan my freshman year was to play in 4 games. So I started one against Akron, and then, you know, we beat up on like Rutgers and Maryland, and then I think Indiana was the 4th game, and then the last few games of the year, I think we played Purdue, who was ranked like 20th, so I didn't go into that game, and then we played Michigan State, who was top 10, and then Michigan, the last game of the year. Like, those were the 2 final games. I'm like, all right, you know, unless anything crazy happens to CJ Stroud, I'm not playing. And then we ended up beating Michigan State. We were up like,
you blew them out. You were like 50, right?
It was like 49-0 at halftime. And we didn't really have too many other options at quarterbacks. Like, you know, we kind of need you to play. Like, you know, we can't put CJ out there. And I was like, you know what? Whatever, you know, screw it. I'll go out there. And I played. So I played most of that game, the Michigan State game. But I'm sure maybe if I go back and try to appeal one of the games, I think like the Rutgers game, I threw, you know, 2 passes, 3 passes. Same with the Maryland game. So who knows? I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
Is that something you have any interest in, or is it like, hey, man, I've done college 4 years, NFL sitting out there? Like, how do you handle that, or is that an after-the-season thought?
It's definitely after the season thought. Just thinking about it right now, I think there are pros and cons to both. Like, I'm definitely had enough of school.
They do make you go to class if you come back next year.
No, I've definitely had enough of school. But I do love playing here. Like, it's just been a lot of fun this year playing here and playing for the coaches and the fans. It's just it's been great. This 1 year. So we'll see after the season. I don't know. I mean, I really haven't even been thinking about it. I don't even know if it's a possibility and even something I want to explore.
Yeah, they'd have to stretch the rules a little bit, but I mean, Syracuse is opening with Tennessee. It would be good TV if you can. NCAA. I'm just saying, you can call him now and put it in his court for later. Yeah. I'm just saying, but as of this second, no, it's Kyle's. Unfortunately, it's Kyle's last year. All right, so that was our conversation. That was back on November 5th as part of the Kyle McCord Show, which you could have watched exclusively live on QSportsTalk.com. And if you're suddenly hankering for more Kyle McCord today, if you go to the Q Sports Talk YouTube page, we have a playlist. You can watch all of them. Just really tuck in and see if he's smirked his way through any other answers this year. So I think that's a month and a half ago. I'd say those answers kind of combine it with the smirky non-answer of yesterday. I still think, like, my personal opinion is that regardless of this, like, of course, if you're him, you'd like to have options. More options, generally better than fewer. But my best guess is that once it is talked out with his family, coaches, agents, whatever, my best guess is that he's going to decide that his best option is to go into the NFL draft. But again, that's just a guess. Like, my hopeful guess for all of us, for 8 million reasons, is that he comes back to Syracuse. Because, hot damn, that'd be fantastic. I mean, one and all, for us, I've enjoyed working with Kyle this season. It's been great having the show, having him around. Like, as far as guys in his position, he's been about as easy to work with as anyone we've dealt with in that. But that's just personally for me. So got to start with the selfish answer, one. For two, if for somehow this were to happen, this goes from what would be an interesting offseason, because I think Fran Brown and Kyle McCord have done enough to shove Syracuse football back front and center over the last 12 months, that this offseason and build up to next season is going to be interesting regardless, just because I think people around here are more back in on football now than they have been in a long time. But if there is some way that we know in the next, it's got to happen soon, right? It has to. Like the East-West Shrine game that he's committed to, hasn't played it yet, is the end of January. I think there are dates before that. It's a little tricky to figure it out if it'd be considered an early entry or whatnot. Like, it's early January. You have to let the NFL know what you're doing. So there are deadlines coming up soon, plus the transfer portal, Syracuse netting a new quarterback. Fran Brown's got to make moves. There's a lot that goes into all of this. If there is any way that Kyle McCord is coming back next season, this offseason goes from interesting because the Orange went 9-3, because we all enjoyed Fran Brown, because we're intrigued to see how they replace Kyle McCord, because the schedule is wild next year. It goes from that to Syracuse would be rolling into like the most anticipated season opener that I can recall. They would be having the most talked about offseason around here in the history of the program. The most. Just due to, the modern way we talk about things, social media, all of the hype. Like, you go back to when there might have been talked about off seasons, there just weren't as many ways to talk about it. There was no YouTube to talk about it on the last time we would have needed to do all this chatting about. If we're sitting here for 9 months, 8 months, whatever it is, getting ready for a ranked matchup is it the Chick-fil-A kickoff game in Atlanta for, what would it be? If Kyle McCord's coming back, what, like 18th ranked Syracuse? Something like that? 15th ranked Syracuse? Potential Heisman favorite or in the mix guy Kyle McCord versus Tennessee, and we'll see what they do tomorrow in Columbus. Go figure. All ties back to Kyle McCord not being at Ohio State anymore, and their potential Heisman guy and Nico Amalieva coming back for his sophomore year. That game would be, You talk about hype. Talk about game day. I know it's not in Syracuse. You talk about everything. That game would be bonkers. And then you look at the rest of the schedule, which is bonkers as well. I have no idea. Like, as much as I love McCord and as good as he is, that schedule is going to be, that's murderer's row for anybody. They're playing 4 current college football teams not in the Dome next year. College football playoff teams. All of the teams they're playing are college football teams. They're playing a third of the college football playoff next year, all on the road. It's a crazy schedule. But, man, if there's some way, any way, I can't think of a Syracuse football roster offseason move that has been as intriguing as this. Period. Full stop. Ever. Man, that'd be something. I don't know if it has a chance in hell of happening. Because realistically, for the NCAA to grant him a waiver, they would have to legitimately go against the very specific 4-game redshirt rule. I don't know how they can come up with it. There's nothing in the 4-game redshirt rule of, well, the head coach did something dumb. Ryan Day did something dumb. It would be a really weird precedent. That said, college football and college athletics have been filled with nothing but really weird precedent for about the last 5 years going. So, is it possible? Yeah. Would it be unbelievable? Yeah. Would, with NIL, Kyle be able to make it about 1 year-ish? Probably would he be making year 1 in the NFL? Yeah. Would there be significant risk with putting NFL off a year after leading the country in passing, and you never know what can happen against a schedule like that, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Yeah. Are there lots of reasons to want to stay in college? Yeah. Did Kyle say there that he doesn't want to take class anymore? Uh-huh. Do you have to take class when you come back for another year? In theory. There's a lot of, what are the scales of justice? I can balance this up and down whichever way you like. I know this, though. There's an actual, real Syracuse basketball game tomorrow. Syracuse is playing Maryland in basketball tomorrow at the Barclays Center. Like, okay, that's good stuff, in theory. And we can't stop thinking about, talking about, wondering about this Kyle McCord situation, which may literally be nothing. Fascinating times. Fascinating times. Love every second of it. With that, we'll wrap up our Burdick BMW opening drive of the day. Phone lines available next, 315-437-7644. Mario coming up 4:30. We will talk some hoops later. Ed Lee of the Baltimore Sun joins us in hour 2. Off and cooking on this Friday. It's Q Sports Talk and ESPN Radio. What if we beat Maryland, Steve? Then we'll talk basketball again. I forget what the contract was I saw today. It was like Spencer Rattler, who's starting this week for the Saints. I think he was a 5th-round pick. He's got 4 years, $5-ish million coming his way. I'd say that's probably a potentially equivalent scenario. I don't know. It's fascinating. Oh, well, yeah. The 4 playoff teams from this year? Heck, that's the thing. Like, with McCord, you start being like, bring it. Right? Like, you walk into those games with Kyle McCord, you walk in with your chest puffed out. Like that Tennessee game, if you're walking in with Kyle McCord as your starting quarterback, like Syracuse fans are going in confident. I can see that happening, Kev. I like Jennings. Their quarterback's good. I'd like to see that buckets, but I got a feeling the Notre Dame defense might sit on them a little bit. Add in the weather. Notre Dame campus, though, with a light blanket of snow, is it's a sight. Much as I generally dislike Notre Dame, it is a gorgeous campus. Yeah, I don't know. Is it still going to be, is there going to be active snow during the game, or is it just going to look cool because there's snow in the area? Does touchdown Jesus shovel? So many questions. 50-50? Could you imagine if the first 12-team playoff game is a freaking snow game in South Bend? Electric. Free Holiday Bowl tickets, San Diego Q's. That is a lot cheaper. You know a guy? You know a guy who knows a guy? Oh, yeah. It's going to be a scene there tonight, Buckets. Good to know a guy. I was not at any of Syracuse's football games at Notre Dame, but I've been to the campus 8 billion times for hoops and lax. It's a gorgeous campus. The outlying areas are often stuck in like 1954, but the campus itself, it's a hell of a thing.
Wonderful time.
Oh, it is. The snow is falling. The transfer portal is open. The college football playoff is 12 teams. There's so many things. So many things tonight. Man, how about that college football playoff? Could you have designed this any better? First year it goes to 12. You're in South Bend. You're at Notre Dame Stadium. There's a potential light snowfall in the air. There's literally a snowman overlooking the stadium. I mean, for all the hand-wringing and this and that, you give just a little snow game to start it off. All that's out the window. It's all gone, and everybody is watching it. Oh, it's fantastic. It is fantastic. Look forward to taking that in tonight. You know, you can also take it in on the radio. It'll be on our AM dial tonight. The Crunch will be on the FM dial tonight. You can do that while you're checking out Wegmans Lights on the Lake. You know, why don't you drive through here on this Friday? You might get a few flurries to enhance your lights experience. I do recommend tickets in advance, a.k.a. because you need them in advance. Like, they're not just slinging them at the gate. You show up with your tickets. lightsonTheLake.com. If you're thinking about down the line for the end of January and you like beer, how about CNYBrewfest.com? You won't be by the lake, but you will be at the Horticulture Building. Both items, Lights on the Lake, Brewfest. Great stocking stuffers as we are fast closing on Christmas coming up on Wednesday. So lots of good things going on in all regards around here. Getting to the basketball game coming up in a little bit. Syracuse and Maryland tip it off tomorrow at the Barclays Center. Man, and that's just what happens when you're 5-5 right now. Like, this game, like, under normal Syracuse basketball situations, we got ourselves a tasty little game here. And hopefully it becomes a good game. But, man, at least right now, like, hype, talk, like, it's been way more interesting to ponder the future of Kyle McCord this week than and eye the transfer portal and talk about quarterbacks that we'd never heard of before 4 hours ago. Then think of the idea of this Maryland game here at this time of the year. Man, I do wonder when we talk to Ed Lee later, we talk all about conference realignment and all this stuff all the time. I wonder how Maryland basketball's doing in the Big Ten. I don't necessarily mean wins and losses, and they've been okay. I mean more just like, how's that working? How's that working? Like, man, those Maryland Duke. Like, I know North Carolina Duke every year. That's the deal. Maryland Duke, Maryland Carolina every year. Like, those were games. What's Juan Dixon thinking right now? Like, there were some games going on back in the day. Where's Steve Blake at? Like, there was some stuff going on back in the day at Maryland. Like, they had some really good teams. And, the DMV aspect of it, all these teams, the coast, the Atlantic coast, it's as if they had a conference based around the area. Like, what's Maryland, Minnesota like? It's just, what? And now you had it, like, Maryland, Oregon. It's just, the whole thing's weird. Obviously, the same things happened to Syracuse, but the whole thing is weird. Syracuse and Maryland got to play that first year. They overlapped 1 year in the league. I'm like, man, this could be a thing. I kind of like this. This could be a nice little thing. And then, poof, it be gone. All right, let's take a break. We'll get Mario in next. Get the six-pack. Get his thoughts on the world of Syracuse sports after this. It's Q Sports Talk and ESPN Radio. Yes. There's probably more than one great Irish bar in South Bend. I would recommend Fiddler's Hearth in downtown South Bend. The Linebacker Lounge is the famous one right across the street from the campus. I've never darkened their doors. Fiddler's Hearth, though, excellent. They have the hearth. There's a fire there often, and fiddlers. Those joints are going to be, well, last night I bet they were jumping. How are we, Chet? What's going on this Friday? What's cooking? People locked in on the hoops tomorrow. We'll have post-game tomorrow. No pre-game tomorrow because women's hoops will be on, but I'll be rocking post-game with you tomorrow afternoon. Yeah, Kyle, the 4-game redshirt rule, I don't know. Like, there's got to be a limit, you'd think, at some point. So some have argued, why? Why should there be a limit on how many years of eligibility you have in college? Which is kind of weird, but, in this world, if there are no rules, why not? Joe Girard could be here working on like year 7, 8, 9, just Girarding it up. Buddy Boeheim's on like 10,000 career points in college. Chili's baby back ribs, barbecue sauce. They need to bring those commercials back. Because they can, Jake. Because they can. Maybe they've got new thoughts, reasoning, hope. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say that, Jake. I'd say it would confirm that he would entertain the idea. You don't like Jake from State Farm, Kev? It's Jake from State Farm.
It's the 315. Here's Brian Higgins.
Oh, right, yeah. Not quite Beach Boy weather outside right now, but that's all right as we roll along here on this Friday. Hoops coming up tomorrow. We'll get into that a little bit more later on as we bring on our standard First Friday guest. You may have heard him earlier today on Orange Nation. You'll be able to see him later tonight on News Channel 9. Mario Sacco with us. All right, Mario. Kyle McCord, go. What's your thoughts on all this? Because it could be a big ball of nothing, but it's certainly a fascinating big ball of nothing if it's that.
You didn't want to talk about the Ohio Bobcats winning the Cure Bowl championship?
I can't believe I whiffed on that, the general existence of that.
Ohio Bobcats, SU beats them, and they win bowl games.
There we go.
Kyle McCord, Chris Carlson just released an article that his source said that, Kyle applied for a fifth year, which we all thought, and he got denied and is in the process of appealing that. That was according to Chris Carlson and his sources. As I said, it's a long shot on Orange Nation earlier today of, setting that precedence of, like a coach might have made a mistake, but I'm sure that's not the only time that has ever happened. And, if this would, go through, you're going to get then why can't I get another year for, a sixth game or something like that in the future. Would I love Kyle McCord to come back? Yes, I would love for Kyle McCord to come back and watch him play football again because, quite honestly, that was one of the best quarterbacks that I've seen collegiately up close week in and week out play the game of football. He was phenomenal this year. And do I think Syracuse has a backup plan? I'm going to roll my dice with Fran Brown anytime right now until he proves me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, clearly this is not an all eggs in that basket situation from Fran Brown. Like, otherwise, like, Caden Salter wouldn't have been here last weekend. Like, all these guys we've talked about wouldn't have, they wouldn't have answered Fran Brown's calls. Like, my assumption here, and maybe Fran will let it fly at some point down the line because he tends to give out info at various points.
He's pretty open.
Yeah, like I bet here'd be my guess, and you can tell me what you think on this. I bet Ricky Collins, Caden Salter, whatever's actually happening here with McCord, whatever the actual story is, I bet Fran was probably pretty forthright with these guys about it.
No, 100%, and saying that here's our situation, take it or leave it. Like if Kyle doesn't come back, there's likely a quarterback position. Do you want to wait? And to me, it looked like on the outside, obviously Salter didn't want to wait and decided to go to Colorado. On the other side, like I told Steve earlier, this isn't a thing that's going to last a month from now.
No.
Like I would think within the next, by the first of the year or right around there, that these decisions are going to be made and be made pretty quickly on Kyle McCord's front, as far as preparing for the NFL draft, if that is the next step. But as we said, the NCAA might think otherwise and might kick this down the road a little bit as far as they can, because it's not a lawsuit against them right now. You're just appealing a process.
Yeah, I mean, for those wondering, I mean, the Diego Pavia case is, I think, what got us thinking a bit about this more the other day. That was literally a judge ruling, which led to that.
Correct.
Like, with the NCAA, their timeline is whatever the hell they feel like their timeline being, and it may not match up with any timeline at all.
Yeah, we might think it might be an easy decision, something that could be made in a day, but they tend to kick things down the road and kick it until you can't kick it any further.
Yeah, which at that point, if it gets kicked at any point, regardless of what Kyle or Fran or anybody wants, at some point he's just going to be in the draft because he won't have another choice if they don't make a decision.
And he planned on playing in the Senior Bowl, so those things are right down the road. They're not 2 months down the road, so decisions have to be made and be made in a rather reasonable time here.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are in the assumption business right now that, okay, let's say the waiver is granted, that automatically means McCord's the quarterback next year. I still think in that scenario, he's still thinking about the NFL draft. I don't know what his decision would be in that case, but I don't think that auto trumps the NFL, because that clearly is his goal going forward.
Yeah, and that goes back to the money game. How much money can you get through NIL if he would come back? And Fran flat out said at the dart party, these guys aren't coming in asking for $4,000 a month. They're asking for $25,000 a month. That's a decent chunk of change for a college kid. And is he going to make that being a undrafted rookie or a 7th round pick right away? Those are the decisions that Kyle McCord and his agent and family would have to make if the time comes.
Yeah,
if he would be granted a 5th year, I would be hard pressed to think that he wouldn't be coming back here. But like I said, I know nothing about the situation more than you know, so that's all speculation out of me.
Yeah, it would be a weird precedent for the NCAA to set to grant it. That said, we are in the era of weird precedents, so to rule anything out at this point is silly.
Yeah. You're 100% correct with that one.
All right, so who knows what's going on there? It's been fascinating to watch, though. I mean, that would
a week of content right now.
Absolutely, and selfishly, that's great. What's this all about? Me and my show. That's what the important stuff is.
Hey, we used you. Steve said Brian Higgins numerous times last night on this Channel 9.
That's the whole goal. We've just been trying to get on the news here, Mario. That's all we're trying to do is make the 11 o'clock and do it in a non-embarrassing way if we can pull it off. But man, it's been fascinating. This portal stuff. Set this aside, right? The portal stuff, next quarterback, all these freshmen coming in. Fran is, remove McCord from the situation. Fran has increased the spotlight on this stuff so much that it was going to be interesting, it feels like right now, regardless of the McCord stuff.
Yeah, because of what he was able to create in that first year. He got the guys to stay around, and Rondé Gaston is, 90%, 95% out the door with his foot after this year, but him announcing Trevor Pena coming back, and not that there was a kind of a question about Trevor Pena coming back, but seeing the retention of guys that want to be here and start to build that winning foundation that started this year is great to see. And then with all the success he had out of the transfer portal last year, it's making you watch it every day, refreshing that page. Mm-hmm. Okay, who's Syracuse going to bring in, or who are we looking at right now?
Yes, I have Mike McAllister's Twitter page. I think it's burned into my computer screen now. It's one of
Mike is permanently on speed dial or text chain about every 2 hours.
Yes. Is this happening, Mike? Mike, where are you? Mike, come on, quick! It's like the bat signal. We gotta always see what. I just literally while we mentioned it, I just quick refresh. Just nothing's happened. Nothing's happened. You never know. It could happen at any second. You never know with these things. And something's gonna happen here at some point. And it's a huge off season, right? We talk about next year's football schedule, and it's brutally tough here coming up.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And everyone's talking about is Kyle coming back, or Rondé Gaston moving on to the NFL? What we haven't heard and we didn't get to speak. What's LeQuint doing?
Not a clue.
I have no idea. He wasn't made available today for media. What are his plans? I'm sure he's got a thought process of what he's going to do. And he's a guy like Trevor Pena that I would expect coming back, but in today's day and age, I have no idea. But, that's a cornerstone of your team next year with LeQuint.
Yeah, because that's one thing, again, setting aside McCord, right? If you know you have LaQuinn Allen coming back next year, I think I thought a week or two ago, I was like, man, if he comes back next year, that's a good foundational block for an offense, regardless of who the quarterback is.
Yeah, regardless of who's playing quarterback. That's. And I'm not saying you don't have other guys in that running back room, but let's face it, LaQuinn Allen was your guy to give the football to in the fourth quarter, and he proved it time and time again.
So the date I'm seeing right now is, and again, I have zero clue how this would affect McCord, that underclassmen have to declare for the draft by January 6th, unless you are legit still playing in the college football playoff. Then you can kick it down the line until the end of January. It looks like. Does McCord have to declare for the draft, or would it only be if he has another year left?
Which we wouldn't know if it was decided or not.
Yeah.
When is the Senior Bowl?
The East-West Shrine game, which it looks like the one he's targeting, it's the last week of January. I forget the exact date. I think it's the last Thursday of January, if I'm remembering right. So it's end of the month.
So a month from now.
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah. So, one way or another, we'll know a final answer on all of those questions here coming up in a few weeks or a month at the longest. But I think the LeQuint thing's fascinating because, I think back to last year, this whole offseason, and everything we heard Fran Brown say, and we were excited about McCord, but all the talk was, toughness and Jersey and, running the football. Yeah. That stuff, depending on who the quarterback is next year, that stuff may actually play out with LeQuint next year if you have a slightly different team.
Yeah, that's straight on his shoulders. And you go into the discussions, and I'm sure the Fran's already had these discussions with him, and he's been up front that, LeQuint's my guy.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was just shocking a little bit to see him walk the UConn game as one of the guys, announced and walking. So that's the only light bulb that popped into your head, maybe LeQuint might not be coming back next year.
Yeah.
But like I said, I have no one way or the other. I don't know one way or the other, but we haven't got to speak with him. So kind of hard to ask a guy, hey, do you plan on coming back if you don't get to see him?
Yes, I have not seen nor heard from LeQuint since the regular season ended with the Miami game now. Well, how long ago was that? That was 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago? That time is blending together here at this time of year. We got Mario Sacco with us. All right, thoughts on hoops tomorrow. Uphill battle, it would feel like, against Maryland. What's your sense of this game coming up?
For my sake, and for us Orange Nation fans watching it, you hope it's a close game. But, man, Maryland can shoot the rock from behind the arc. They were 15 of 26. Yes, I know they played St. Francis, not downplaying the NEC, Lemoyne Dolphins. But, Maryland can shoot the ball from behind the arc. They got a couple of guys that can shoot it from out there. And they got a great freshman. And Syracuse, you saw what they did against Georgetown's big guy and server last game. They didn't handle him too well, and Derek Queen is probably better for Maryland down low. And I think SU is going to have their hands full because, let's face it, Chris Bell hasn't scored, and you're going to have to score in the 80s to beat this Maryland team come tomorrow.
Yeah, they St. Francis, but they put up a 111 earlier this week, and they can really toss the ball in the hoop.
Red flash.
They can do it from outside the arc, and they got, like you mentioned, the freshman there in Queen. They got a veteran power forward. They got two guys inside going about 250 with some strength. So it's going to be.
Gillespie's a good shooter from the outside. They got a bunch of weapons, and they've already have their lone losses to Purdue on the road. They hammered Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean they're sitting. What are they? They lost to Marquette by 4.
9-2. Marquette and Purdue.
Yeah, and Purdue by 5. So their only two losses were, at least at the time, the top 15 team. So it's not a shabby resume that they have assembled thus far. All right, so with that, let's fire up the six-pack here on this final Friday before Christmas.
It's time for Mario to make you money.
Your money? You know what else? You're a big winner.
Or maybe not.
And it's gone. Money!
Here's the Sacco Six-Pack.
All right, you snuck a 3-3 last week. You got a Monday night win to get there. I think, Mario, this is going to be our final official six-pack of 2024, so a chance to go out with a bang here today.
All right, let's do some college football playoffs then. Give me Notre Dame tonight, -7. Sorry, Signetti fans, me being one of them.
Oh, boy.
But,
Mario is picking against the official coach of the six-pack. This is worrisome.
Yeah, that's awful by me. I didn't think of that when I put it down. Notre Dame -7. Tennessee +7.5. They never beat top 10 teams. Ryan Day, I'm hoping we'll find a way to screw it up. I think Ohio State wins, but I think that one's close. And give me the over of Penn State SMU. I think that one could be a track meet. First one to about 40 between those two. In the NFL, give me the Lions to bounce back -6.5 at Chicago. Caleb Williams can't throw the football. Like, good Lord, did he have guys wide open was that Monday night they played?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Vikings game on Monday, right?
Yeah. He had guys running wide open down the field and couldn't hit them. So, and the Lions are going to need it because their secondary is really banged up. But give me Detroit -6.5. God help you. I know you'll be watching this game, but the Michael Penix game between the Giants and Falcons, I'm going to take the under 43 in that one.
An under with the Giants game. That feels about right. I know it was not scored in the game, and that's the Giants.
Yeah. And give me the Vikings -3 on the road at Seattle.
Vikings.
I think the Vikings are really good.
I think the Vikings are like people, and with good reason. It's hard to believe in Sam Darnold, but that good coach, good defense, that's a solid team right there.
Yeah, and you don't know what the health status is of Geno Smith right now.
Yeah, he got all screwed up last game.
Kind of really throwing a wrench into my fantasy football playoff finals. So, we played two quarterbacks, and Geno was my number 2, and now Jerry Jeudy got put into a flex position. So, and
that's
neither here nor there. No one wants to hear about my fantasy unless I win.
Yeah, unless you win, then you can brag about it. And they just took Jameis away from Jerry Jeudy, which is sad for all of us.
It's awful. We can't pick up guys unless someone is injured. So, long story. Yeah, so I would drop Geno, but we have an overall champion out of another division. It's really weird. There's 12 other teams on the complete opposite side that's the grand championship. So if I would drop Geno this week and he played next week, I couldn't pick him up. So there's some bad rules.
Okay, you got that is some strict rulings in the Sacco Home League. That is something to watch out for.
News Channel 9.
Okay. Oh, there it is. So do we blame Steve? Whose fault is this? Well,
just ask Steve where he finished this year, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah, Steve did not have a good fantasy year, I don't think, in any of his leagues. Lamar Jackson ended all of my seasons by himself last week. I ran into him in literally every league I had, and that was that. Again, the Giants helping me out. All right, man. Thanks as always. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, the New Year, all that stuff. There goes Mario with the six-pack. Catch him tonight on The Fever on News Channel 9, all the high school basketball that you can handle. With that, we will take a break. When we come back, we'll see what the man who sort of knows thinks about the college football playoff opening rounds tonight with a game and 3 tomorrow. More to come after this. Hoops Talk next hour here on Key Sports Talk and ESPN Radio.
Friday, the
Look, it's Mike. Whatever brings you here, Mr. Papa, brings you to that corner where the tiny air hockey table is. Yeah. That one. Should I move this pen? This pen is from an Omni Hotel. Swanky. What's our series now? 4-2? Yep. You got a 4-2 lead?
4-2.
All right. So I lost the last game. Last game was dramatic. It took a while. Our last two or three games have been long. Mike has turned on the power. We've properly screwed in the battery thing. We're ready to go. Okay, there we go.
Oh my gosh.
The one-shot win?
Dang.
Wow. We've both done that to each other now. In the first 7 games. Got him on the short side. Got to keep them. Got to keep that pad close to the ice, tucked to the ice.
You know, I'm really upset because going into that hit, I was like, most of his goals have been offside side in.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was gonna happen again. So I was playing the left side because I thought it was gonna pop off the left and go in. I definitely left it open. He took advantage of it.
Okay. 4-3. What a series. What a series. Early days, it looked like I was never going to win.
It did.
I was in a 3-0 hole, and it just looked like doom and gloom forever. Now we got a thing cooking. Now it's a thing. What is the total on the... Mary never said the total of the SMU game. There's a bowl game going on right now? Florida and Tulane are actively playing in the Gasparilla Bowl? Where have I been? Now, that's a lot of points for... I don't know what the weather's going to be like in State College tomorrow. We're back. We're back. Oh, we got Dave wants to talk Cowboys. What are the Cowboys possibly doing of note? Cowboys are Sunday Night Football this week? I haven't even answered yet. He's being optimistic about the Cowboys. That's what the call screener tells me. And people try to tell me only Scooter calls. No, no, no.
All across CNY, it's the 315. Here's Brian Higgins.
Here we are on this fine Friday afternoon, working our way toward the weekend. Phone lines open and available, 315-437-7644. No Wrong Answers, Houston, Maryland, coming up next hour. We'll talk to Ed Lee of the Baltimore Sun next hour as well about the Terps. The man who sort of knows will be joining us momentarily. But first, to the phones, we bring in our guy Dave in the queues. Hey, Dave, what's going on?
Good evening. I just want to say one thing. I'm being optimistic. I'm trying to be optimistic. As you know, I'm a Dallas fan, and I really think that the Commanders are going to lose out, and the Cowboys will win out. We know they can beat the Commanders. The Bucs will hopefully they'll beat the Bucs this weekend, and then the Eagles. It's going to be a toss-up. I mean, I'm hoping that they win out, and the Commanders lose out, and they make the playoffs. And depending on how it goes, maybe they can win the Super Bowl, but at least make the playoffs. That's the main goal I want. It would be nice to see it happen. I know it's far-fetched, but I know they can at least beat the Commanders and go from there. So, I know they can at least do that. So that's one guaranteed win. We know they can do it, even though they almost gave the first one away. The Bucs, hopefully they can win that, and then the Eagles are going going to be the toughest one, I think. I want to get your opinion. Thanks for taking my call, and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you.
To you as well, Dave. Your optimism is admirable. I will give you that. Your optimism is admirable. Obviously, as a Giants fan, my optimism, it is long left out. Don't let me be the putter of coal in your stocking during this holiday season, Dave. That's that's not going to happen. The Cowboys literally would have to win out and have the Commanders lose out to have any chance of making the playoffs. Dallas hosts the Bucs on Sunday Night Football this week. That's an L. They're at the Eagles next week. That's an L. And then they got the Commanders to close out the season. Could it potentially come down to that? Yeah, it could. Yeah, it could. We have a lot of pessimistic sports fans that we talk to, so I do appreciate Dave's optimism. How about that? But I don't share it in this circumstance. The Cowboys ain't making the playoffs. And I believe they shall be put out of their misery of even considering the idea with the loss on Sunday night. And then this, like the Eagles are trying to get the 1 seed in the NFC. Next week, the Eagles have everything to play for. That game is in Philadelphia. Yeah, Cooper Rush ain't winning that game.
Could we have the money now?
I'm telling you, it's a lock.
What if there was a restaurant that didn't serve any food and just served up gambling?
Father was a mutter. His mother was a mutter.
I thought gambling was illegal.
Not if no one sees you do it.
Guaranteed bets.
The man is a gambler.
Results not guaranteed.
Pay that man his money.
It's the man who sort of knows.
The man that sort of knows has not picked against the Cowboys this week. So there's that. 2-3 last week for the man. And a little slide here. A few 2 and 3 weeks in a row. See if the man who sort of knows can bounce back with 1 NFL, 4 college football playoff picks. We start tonight in Indiana, in South Bend, Indiana, where Indiana will be hello and welcome to Notre Dame with snow on the field. Snowmen watching over, and a pretty feisty Notre Dame fighting Irish defense. The number is dropping. The man that sort of knows got it at 52. Last check, it's down to 50.5. The man that sort of knows says, yeah, there's snowmen by the field. That means take the under on Indiana Notre Dame tonight in South Bend in the first ever 12-team college football playoff matchup. 3 games tomorrow. 2 of those 3 will be in Northerly as well. Ohio State, 7.5-point favorites hosting Tennessee. A lot of people are saying, what's Ohio State's deal? Just lost to Michigan. They're a mess. Tennessee's got a chance. All that's true. But the man that sort of knows says this. Ohio State still, despite that Michigan performance, is the superior team in talent versus Tennessee. Ryan Day potentially coaching to save his job. Ohio State covers the 7.5 tomorrow against Tennessee. Clemson, a 12-point dog on the road at Texas. Texas only has 2 ranked wins this year of 10 or more points, of which this would have to be to cover. And those 2 ranked wins that Texas has this year that have been double digits are Michigan and Oklahoma, a.k.a., not exactly currently ranked teams. Dabo's involved. Dabo loves Fran Brown. I don't know if Clemson's going to win, but the man that sort of knows thinks they're going to cover the 12 at Texas on Saturday. SMU's an 8.5-point dog at Penn State. The man that sort of knows says, why not keep it rolling with the ACC? This is less about SMU, who's good, than James Franklin. If we are to believe that SMU, being in the college football playoff, is indeed a top 10 team, James Franklin is 3-18 in his career versus top 10 teams. 8.5 is a lot of points for that. Take the Mustangs to cover in Happy Valley. And then one of the hardest hitting rivalries in all of sports, Steelers at Ravens on Sunday. The Steelers' entire defense seems to be injured. The Steelers are 6.5-point dogs. Mike Tomlin don't care about any of that. Mike Tomlin is 30-20 straight up all time and 35-13 against the spread all time when he has been a single-digit underdog. Bet against Mike Tomlin at your own peril. Man that sort of knows, doesn't care who's going to win the game, but he's got the Steelers covering the 6.5 against the Ravens on Sunday. To recap, Indiana Notre Dame goes under tonight. Ohio State covers 7.5 against Tennessee. Clemson covers the 12 at Texas. SMU keeps it within 8.5 at Penn State, and the Steelers stay inside the 6.5 against the Ravens on Sunday. And that, my friends, is what the man that sort of knows thinks he knows this week. With that, we'll take a break. Hour 2 is next. No wrong answers. Get you ready for Q's in Maryland from the Barclays Center tomorrow. And Ed Lee from the Baltimore Sun will join us to tell us about the Terps. Hopefully, he's going to be on a train. I don't know how this is going to work, but we'll talk to a guy on a train. That's fun. We're back after this. It's Q Sports Talk at ESPN Radio. Hey, Dave is leading the league in optimism. I suppose we could all use a dose of that every now and again. But the Cowboys are not making the playoffs. My goodness. Let me go back. I had the standings up here somewhere. Let's look at this. All right, let's say Dave's theory comes true. Washington loses out, Cowboys win out. All right. So that would get the Cowboys to 9-8. It still wouldn't guarantee them the playoffs. There'd be like the Falcons and the Cardinals would still be in the mix. There'd be other teams still in the mix. Not the Giants. The Giants are not in the mix. I mean, God bless Dave's optimism. God bless it. That is like, well, maybe they could win the Super Bowl. They could not. Not a thing that would happen. All right, let's say Dallas sneaks in the playoff as the 7th seed, which would send them on the road in the first round against either the Lions or the Eagles. Though in this scenario, they've already beaten the Eagles on the road. Last year, you could at least make the argument if the Cowboys go into the Super Bowl and not be totally nuts. They had a great record. I'm not surprised they flamed out, but I could have at least made the argument. Maybe he's an elf on a shelf. Maybe Dave is Jerry Jones' elf on a shelf. Who's my Mount Rushmore? That's a good question, Buckets. I never quite finalized it. I was pondering. I think you kind of, Dolph Shays and Boeheim kind of make a lot of sense to be on there to me. Stewie, probably. Last spot is tricky. What's his name? You can make an argument for Carmen Basilio. That makes sense. I'd toss Gene Mills out there. Gene Mills? I like Gene Mills. Yeah, you pick any of the Olympians. You just BZ Madden and a horse. Yeah, Roy Simmons. Heck, I love me some John Desco. John's jingling around 11 rings, and he was played here too. Like Mike Messier. You could make the argument for Mike Messier. Maybe I'll just stump for Desco. Yeah, we could put Tony Soprano's horse on there, Gavendo. Like the Powells. How do we leave the idea of the Powell family out of this discussion? For all the people that were saying Gate, Like, you talk about, like, the Syracuse area, I'd stump for the Powells more than Gary, than the Gates. If you're trying to go for, like, a local thought. Say realistically, like Boeheim, you're starting with Boeheim and working from there, probably. Trying to go for like max association with Syracuse, I guess. Like a guy like Gary Gate, yeah, he's associated with Syracuse, and yeah, he's been the women's coach here for a while, but Gary's associated with lacrosse all over the place and everywhere. Paul wants to give me a salmon hat. Yeah, sign me up for a salmon hat, Paul. Are you working right now, Paul? Paul's at Stewart's. Go to Stewart's and bother Paul. Go get some eggnog. He's at the Stewart's in Liverpool, I think. You in Liverpool, Paul? You get back to work.
It's the 315 with Brian Higgins. Halfway home, we drive into the second hour with Verdict BMW.
Yeah, we do. Hour 2 is upon us. What have we done so far today? We've talked more Kyle McCord. What do we know? Nothing. What do we know about it? Everything. What do we want to know about it? More! Oh, it's fascinating. I love it. I'm loving the insanity of this Kyle McCord story right now. I need it more. I need it to not stop. I need more of it. Hopefully it doesn't stop, because that would mean that we have Kyle McCord next year. And that would be Merry Christmas to all of us. What do you want under the tree? Ah, it's Kyle. Wow. That took a lot of wrapping paper. Somebody get him a sandwich. Talked to Mario. We got the six-pack. We heard from the man that sort of knows. With that, we move on to hour 2. We'll get some hoops in our lives. Cuse, Maryland, tomorrow noon. Of course, listen, TK, ESPN on the AM. We will have post-game coverage for you. The women play at 11 tomorrow versus Dartmouth. That whole thing's weird. But we'll have post-game for the men's game for you here around 2-ish tomorrow. We'll talk to Ed Lee from the Baltimore Sun coming up in 10 minutes or so. But right now, before we talk to Ed, we're just going to tell you exactly what's going to happen in the game tomorrow.
No wrong answers.
Give me a boy's name that starts with the letter H.
Jose.
There are no wrong answers.
What months of pregnancy does a woman begin to look pregnant?
September.
No wrong answers.
Something a burglar would not want to see when he breaks into a house. Rob.
Naked grandma.
Naked, huh?
I'm like an animal.
Keep your voice down.
I'm like King Kong.
All right, no wrong answers. Cuse and Maryland tomorrow at the Barclays Center. The Orange playing their third Barclays game in the last month with the losses to Texas and Texas Tech. Close losses under their belt. We'll see if they can get a win down in Brooklyn coming up tomorrow with the noon tip. What do we got our eyes on tomorrow? Obviously, J.J. Starling, friend of the show. Catch my first weekly chat with him. That was yesterday, brought to you by RomanoCars.com, currently available on our Q Sports Talk YouTube page. He obviously will not be partaking in this game, still out with a broken left hand. Jaquan Carlos has basically not left the court, essentially, since the injury to Starling, because Starling had been sliding over to be the backup point guard when Carlos would get a breather. Carlos's production without Starling has give or take doubled. He's gone from 4 points a game and about 4 assists a game to more than 9 points a game and about 6.5 assists a game. I think he keeps it going decently in the game tomorrow with 9 points and 7 assists. A very good game, but not overwhelming with the scoring. His counterpart, Maryland transfer point guard Jacoby Gillespie, he can shoot now. Oh, he can shoot it. 42% from 3. He's averaging about 13 a game. I think he gets off a little bit. The Orange have had trouble containing opposing point guards. I got Gillespie down for 18 points and 5 made 3-pointers tomorrow. There's going to be some rumbling and tumbling inside as the star freshman from Maryland, his name is Derek Queen. He's from Baltimore. He was the number 14 recruit in the class last year. He's 6'10". He'll be eye to eye with Donnie Freeman, But he's 6'10", 246. This is a load inside. He's their leading scorer and rebounder right now at 17 points and 8 boards a game. I think he's even a better player than what Syracuse just dealt with Georgetown over the weekend. I don't know how they're going to stop Queen inside. I got him for 20 and 10 in the ball game tomorrow. Donnie Freeman will try to rumble inside, but the freshman for Syracuse I have my eye on tomorrow is Chapa. What will Elijah Moore do? Since he's been placed in the starting lineup now the last 3 games, 6.5 points a game, shooting just 33% from 3 in 3 starts. I think he gets it going. This game's going to be kind of a little more wide open, a little up and down. I think he gets it going a little bit tomorrow. 15 points, 3 made threes for Chapa, finding the range a bit from the outside. The major questions for the game tomorrow, if the Orange want to hang in and have a chance of this at all right, you're going to have to score because Maryland scores. Again, it was St. Francis. They put up 111 on Tuesday. They've been scoring in the 80s on most anybody. They're 9-2, only 2 losses to ranked Marquette and ranked Purdue. You're not going to stop them. Can Chris Bell hit some threes to get going? Can Eddie Lampkin have a healthy and nice game inside? Remember, bus ride down to the Barclays. His back got a little funkier after those 2 games a month ago. He's looked a little more spry here, a little more healthy the last couple games. Can that continue? They'll need it in this game. All said, no wrong answers. Put it together, add it up. I just don't think the Orange have enough. Maryland is a good team. They're a fringe ranked team right now. They're a tournament team, very likely. And they can score. I don't know if the Orange defense, which has struggled all season, is going to be able to slow them down enough. Final score, Barclays Center tomorrow. The Orange drop below 500 as we head to Christmas. Maryland wins it 87-72. We'll see how close we are on the postgame show tomorrow, which you can catch right here. Phone lines will be open. Any and all thoughts on what we witness and what we hear down at the Barclays Center tomorrow. Get a noon tip. You can watch it on ESPN. You can listen on TK99 and ESPN 1200, of course. With that, we will take a break. We'll learn about these Terps from Ed Lee, who's on a train, we're told right now. Ed's on a train. He works for the Baltimore Sun. The train, I don't know if he's on the Excella Express. They can get it cooking there from Baltimore up to New York. That's the best way to travel there. You don't have to worry about that rush hour traffic. You don't have to worry about any of the loops or anything. Hopefully, we don't need to worry about his cell signal. We don't know how this is going to go, but we're gonna take our best crack at talking some Terps with Ed. We're gonna do that next year on Q Sports Talk and ESPN Radio. Kev is going back to Stewart's. He's going to go back. We're talking Mike Powell. Love me some Mike Powell. All at various points have lived in CNY in their post-playing lives. Ryan's in town now as well. I believe Casey's currently in Chicago area. Is he in Florida now? It's tough to keep all these Powells on a leash. They're always up to something. I love me the Powells. Just toss Boeheim and 3 Powells up there. I wouldn't be mad. Mike Powell can legit play. He's like a legitimately good musician. He's probably currently in the woods somewhere, like staring at a stream, or who knows what Mike's doing. God love him. Govendo cracks a raw egg in it, just like Rocky. Just puts it right in there. Free promo for Stewart's Buckets. Well, It's almost like Paul's at that Stewart's for a reason. With Scott Jameson from Sunny 102. Shout out to pardon me, from Santa 102. Stewart's does have really good ice cream. They always have good ice cream, which, in theory, would lead to a good milkshake. I know of Stewart's from the way back, big in the capital region. Did you find them, Kev? Did you find everybody?
All across CNY, it's the 315. Here's Brian Higgins.
All right, rolling along here on this Thursday. We might be about to engage in an electrically bad idea. We'll see how this goes. So our guy Ed Lee of the Baltimore Sun, he's on the train from Baltimore to Brooklyn to cover the game tomorrow, which is generally the easiest. No 95 traffic, a lot easier. You get a seat and all that. The problem is, like, trains are crowded. There's lots of people. So I don't know if this may be the worst idea of all time. This may be a great idea. I don't know, but we'll welcome in Ed. All right, Ed. So you're on the train. You're in the quiet car, so you may have to whisper here. How bad of an idea is this right now? Because it sounds like it may be a bad idea, but we're excited for it nonetheless.
I mean, I'll leave it up to you to decide, but I'll try to work my way through this.
All right. If you're getting any dirty looks, let me know, and we'll let you go. Where are you right now? Somewhere between Baltimore and New York City.
He's past Delaware.
Okay, so I'd say he's halfway. He's halfway in it on the way up the coast.
Okay.
All right. How good is this Maryland team right now, Ed? Like, they, only 2 losses to ranked teams. What is SU getting themselves into tomorrow?
Well, it's hard to say definitively how good this team is. I mean, yes, they are 9-2, but if you look at those wins, really the only 2 that stand out are Villanova, which they beat by 1 point, and the one that they had against the So I've been told I need to make a move. So,
all right, so we're working our way here with Ed Lee. He's on the train on the way up from. For Baltimore. Ooh, something's going on in the cafe car. So that you got to get going with the cafe car here. So I've been wondering about this, Ed. That Syracuse joined the ACC. The 1-year overlap with Maryland. Maryland's hanging out in the Big Ten. Obviously, everyone had to make those moves for financial decisions. Besides that, the on-the-court life for Maryland, how has that been for the last decade or so when you're not playing the teams you're used to playing all these years?
I mean, it's been different. I mean, obviously, they're not playing in the ACC anymore. They've had to adapt to life in the Big Ten. So new rivalries, new teams, new opponents, and just kind of a new culture, a new way of doing things. So it's been a little bit different from on that perspective.
That it has, for sure. One more for you, and we'll cut you loose here on the train here. How good is this Derek Queen that we're going to watch tomorrow as a freshman? He looks pretty legit right now from afar.
Yeah, he's been very impressive as a freshman. Just the way what he's been able to do. We thought that there would be a significant learning curve for him because, he was a 5-star recruit, but you figure that there's going to be some sort of transition for him coming to Division I basketball. But he's been so good for this team, and he's really gelled with Julian Reese, particularly in the post. And the fact that he's a dominant presence in the middle has opened up things on the perimeter, and that's why this team is playing much better, especially from three-point range. I mean, they've already shot 100 three-pointers. That's almost half of what they had last year. So he's really changed the way they do things on offense.
All right, looking forward to the game tomorrow. Ed, we'll let you get back to your travels. Thanks so much for hopping on for a few today.
Sorry about that, guys.
Oh, no worries, Ed. Again, that was we took a risk on the train phone call. Not all risks work out for the best. Sometimes we try to get the home run there. Didn't quite hit. Not Ed's fault. Not Ed's fault. We enjoyed talking. I was going to ask him some lacrosse questions too. He covers lax down in the Baltimore area, but what can you do? But we heard the cafe cars rocking. He's on the packed train up from Baltimore to New York for the game tomorrow. We gave it a go. We gave it a good honest go here. 'Tis the season and all that, but what can you do? What can you do? Ed, I don't blame at all. Crazy decision on the host's part? Perhaps. But, there we are. Maryland's pretty good. I haven't really seen him play a lot this year, but the most I've started looking into this the last couple of days. This Derek Queen dude, this freshman, he can play a little bit. And we saw last week against Georgetown, the Orange had their hands full with Georgetown's center inside with everything Georgetown had going with Thomas Sorver, and he ended up having a nice game. I think that this guy from Maryland, Queen, is better. Sorber's good. Don't get me wrong. Sorber's good. They're both good. And, add in, these are all DMV area talent. Add in Donnie Freeman to that. They had some ball going on down in the DMV area the last few years, with Donnie coming out of D.C. and a lot of these other guys coming out of the Baltimore area in that inner side. This Queen guy can go, and he is a load. You look at what Queen has going on, like as just an absolute big dude in there. He's pushing 250, and you look at what Syracuse has going on. Like Eddie Lampkin, bulk wise, he can rumble with these guys. The problem here for Syracuse potentially tomorrow is it's not just Queen. He's 6'10", 246. Julian Reese is the power forward. He's a senior. He's 6'9", 250. So they're going 500 pounds total between forward and center. Donnie Freeman, he's going to be giving up some bulk to that. Do we see more Jair Davis because you need a veteran guy? Ed was passing through a Delaware. We're passing Jair Davis land from the last couple of years. But, what are we going to get tomorrow? I don't know. I think it's a big ask. It's a big ask for Syracuse. It's a big ask for Syracuse in the game tomorrow. I think Maryland is legitimately a decent team. Syracuse without J.J. Starling, yeah, it's going to be a big yes. But cover it we shall. Game starts at noon. You can catch Learfield pregame over on TK99 ESPN 1200. That will start as early as 10:30 here on ESPN 97.7 in the Cuse. You'll be hearing Tim Leonard at 10:45. It's an 11 o'clock tip time tomorrow for Syracuse and Dartmouth. I'm not entirely certain why, but it is. So we got women's hoops for you on the airwaves here. Tim will be going till a little after 1-ish. Then we'll chime in when the men's game ends with postgame. So no pregame for us tomorrow due to the women's game, but we'll be locked and loaded for postgame. We'll take your calls. We'll try to get some red down from Brooklyn. We'll see how it all plays out tomorrow with the ball game. And this is one of these things. Like I'm down on it. I don't think Syracuse is going to win tomorrow. I said I got them losing by 15. I don't quite know how they're going to slow down this Maryland team. Obviously, their defense has not been a strong suit for Syracuse at any point this season, realistically. Though, perhaps two of the better defensive games they played, go figure, were in the Barclays Center in the losses to Texas and Texas Tech coming up are coming up about a month ago down there right before Thanksgiving. So can they harness that defensive effort, make some shots, and make it a game? Maybe. Am I going to think really different of them if they lose the game? Probably not, I'd say, because realistically, if they lose, it's going to be probably following the same pattern here of the last few games. If somehow they can win this game tomorrow, I'm just like, oh, now you have an actual win. Now you really wouldn't have the sundae yet. You'd have the cherry on top. You'd have a legit good neutral site win, and then you're like, not thinking tournament or any of that, but at least, you're turning frowns upside down, heading into Christmas, coming out. You're not really thinking as much anymore about losing record come New Year's. Now you're thinking about, all right, we have a win. Can we get JJ back? Can we at least do something going forward in the ACC? That's the optimistic side of things. The realistic side of things is tomorrow just doesn't really feel like it's going to go great. I think Maryland is a good team, and Syracuse will likely struggle with that, but we shall see. As they say, whoever they are, that's why they play the games, and we shall be watching tomorrow at noon. All right, let's take a break. We'll get Mike in. We'll 411 it up. Little NFL whip around. There's games like every 9 minutes. There's college games and NFL games. Games are tomorrow. There's Sunday. There's Christmas. There's games. They won't stop. Talk some football next. Q Sports Talk and ESPN Radio.
The 315 with Brian.
Yeah, they're doing, what did Paulie say? It's their standard winter fundraiser. What are you doing? What have you crammed in your face, Paul? What are you doing? What are you doing? We tried with Ed. Ed did warn me that might happen. We gave it the old college try. But I thought it might be fun to talk to a guy on a train. It turns out I was wrong. But what can you do? Hey, look, it's Mike.
Not freezing here. It got really. Remember, you're like, I wonder if it's still cold in the production room. Yeah, I wore my jacket in
the entire hoops game the other day.
Yeah, it was freezing.
Yeah, we need to try out different forms of transportation, Govindo. We'll talk to a guy in a chopper.
You know,
talk to a guy in a boat.
Biggest mode of transportation in the Amazon rainforest is the Amazon River.
I suppose that makes sense. We could talk to a guy in the Amazon River.
Right.
Cell server's probably not good.
No, most countries in the Amazon River don't even have paved roads. Because what's they need?
Well, they got the river. You got to avoid the piranhas. 1, 4, 5.
Gonna whip around.
Yeah, 2 didn't really have a lot of it, I don't think. Yeah, we could talk to Choppa in a Choppa. The Choppa. We could play Arnold.
Oh, I forgot we're on the Saturday games now.
Yeah, there's just a lot of things going on.
2 good matchups, too.
Like, there's Saturday. The NFL's like, oh, college football playoffs. That's cute. We're playing anyway.
It is a really weird time to start.
And then all those teams that are playing on Saturday, they're just like, it's like, change your partner, do-si-do. They're all playing on Christmas.
Oh, yeah, that's true. At least it's good matchups.
Yeah, I don't want to say they lucked into it, but they managed to pick teams that were good. Steelers are probably better than they thought, but
that's what I was just about to say.
People are going to watch the Steelers anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everyone's going to be willing to watch a Steelers-Ravens game, no matter how bad each team is.
No, I'm saying for Christmas. Are Steelers Chiefs Christmas and Texans Ravens, or is it the other way? Whatever it is, but you knew like putting the Steelers on Christmas would get eyeballs.
Yeah, Steelers, Chiefs, Ravens, Texans, I should say.
And then it'll have big eyeballs is Giants, Falcons on Sunday.
I actually got in a debate with somebody in the comments section on Instagram about this specific thing because the thing was talking about how Cowboys were America's team, and I just commented. I was like, hey, gee whiz knowledge. The Steelers were offered to be America's team, and they turned it down because they thought it was a corny nickname. And then this guy got in a huge debate with me about how the Cowboys are this and that, and He's like, the Cowboys play every Thanksgiving. Every player wants to do that. And I was like, well, the Steelers also play on a lot of holidays. So, and then like a week later, they announced that they were playing Christmas.
Kev says I can interview him from his truck if we want other forms of.
From Kev's truck, or?
Well, yes. We're looking to interview people in different forms of transportation now that we've talked to Ed on the train.
Well, I didn't know if Kev wanted to interview somebody in their truck.
No. Kev was saying he'd be in his truck. Because he has the truck. So then we don't have to go find a truck. Yeah.
I'm with you now.
You know, I haven't heard from in a while? Wayne in the truck.
Yeah. Actually, I forgot he existed. Yeah.
Where's Wayne? Hope he's still in that truck.
No, he stopped calling.
Gavendo, yeah. Gavendo on a boat. We haven't talked to Gavendo. Well, we've talked to Gavendo. Gavendo's been watching the show while he's been in his boat.
Gaven boat.
We've never combined the two things.
Maybe
we probably shouldn't start now.
Maybe we should get on a boat.
Gavendo, go get in your boat right now.
You don't have to have it running.
No. Yeah, no. He needs to be in the water in the boat,
middle of the lake.
Yeah, no. If we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it. You go, swerving around the snowflakes, and we'll talk to you when you're in your boat. We had Mark on a treadmill. All right, yeah, good. I like it. All of it's gold, Jerry.
Here's Brian Higgins.
Feel it. Again, Silent Night works less well for radio shows, but that's okay. We just tried to talk to a guy on a train. Not everything makes sense.
But all of it makes dollars.
Well, we'll see. Kyle McCord makes dollars. Come back, Kyle! Oh, man. You know what makes dollars? This hour, because it's brought to you by dvoffers.com. It's powered by Drivers Village, which remains in Cicero.
Here's the 411.
Hello, and welcome to Movie Phone.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
In the 315.
So you're going to be doing that all week, right?
Nah.
I'll tell you what's going on. I hit the right button this week.
He did, my man.
I was the mouse was going the wrong way. We reeled it back in.
That's all that matters.
We reeled it back in. All right, man. There's games. There's just games. Every minute of every day, they're going to be playing football. I think from now until I don't know, like February. I don't know. There's just games.
Games.
We like it.
I love games. Preferably NFL games.
I'm in favor of them.
So let's discuss it.
Okay.
Starting out Saturday, first Saturday of the year. And it is, both of them, great matchups in my opinion. The 9-5 Texans take on the 13-1 Chiefs at 1 o'clock to start action. Very interested to see how this game goes. The Chiefs are league best statistically at 13-1, but very close matchups they've had throughout this season where they've won a lot of them where they couldn't have very easily.
Patrick Mahomes has once again somehow injured his lower body at this exact same time of the year, which he seems to do every year. And then there's much hand-wringing, and then he wins the Super Bowl. It sounds like he's playing from everything that I've heard with his high ankle sprain. I don't know. The Chiefs win every game by 2. So I'm just going to pick the Chiefs to win the game by 2.
So it's a 3.5 spread.
Yeah. The Chiefs don't cover anymore. The Chiefs never cover. But they win every game by 2. So, yeah, give me the Chiefs by 2. This is a very important game for how the Bills, I'm sure we'll talk Bills when we get a little later here, for how the Bills handle the rest of their season. If the Chiefs win this game, it becomes really, really hard for the Bills to still have a shot at the 1 seed. They have a tiebreak, but they got to make up 2 games. But the Bills will know this by Saturday, so I don't think it really changes, game plan. You're still playing Josh Allen and all that tomorrow. That game tomorrow is maybe more important how the Bills are going to handle the rest of the season and the Bills' own games coming up.
Yeah, and to my understanding, Patty still hasn't played an away playoff game, right?
He did last year. He won in Buffalo.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first. Well, he did last year. He won in Buffalo and he won in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Those were the first 2, and then he won the Super Bowl. So he was like, yeah, whatever. But I'm sure he'd prefer to go back to not having to do that.
Yeah. I mean, very high success rate when not having to do that.
Yeah.
So-
And actually, technically, he's had a higher success rate when having to do that because he's never
True,
lost.
yeah.
He's undefeated all time on the road in the playoffs.
4:30 game, already mentioned the teams a little bit. Actually, that was during the break. But Steelers, Ravens.
Always great.
Steelers 10-4, Ravens 9-4. As you said, always a great matchup. But this
Lamar is terrible against the Steelers.
Yes, very. Me and Mari were actually talking about this before I sent him over to put him on hold for you earlier. Ravens-Steeler games are always close. Lamar struggles heavily against the Steelers, but Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson. Every time they play, I'm always waiting for him to finally have that Lamar Jackson
Did I hear
game.
he's 1-7 against the Steelers?
Yeah, really bad.
Everyone's picking the Ravens to win this game.
Because it's understandable.
Yeah, no, it is understandable. It's understandable. Like, the Steelers' whole defense is injured. Everyone is picking the Ravens to win this game.
And those are the games that will
Yeah, and then it's just like, Tomlin.
Although last time we had this conversation, this exact same style of conversation, the Steelers lost that week.
That's true.
So maybe we should go in hard on the Ravens then.
I don't know. It's 6.5. I think it's close at minimum.
I think the Steelers will cover no matter what.
Yeah, I would watch the Ravens win by 30.
Yeah, right.
I am not going to be shocked if the Steelers win this game. Because that's just what these games do. You're like, the Ravens offense looks great against everybody, and then the Steelers, they can't break 20.
Yeah.
These games always end up like, how's it 19-17? Like, how's it 18-16? They come up with weird amounts of points. Like, how did you get that many points?
This matchup, it's my favorite matchup in sports. It's just the respect between the teams, how close they always are in my lifetime. So most of the games have been within 3 points than not.
Yeah.
Very excited for it. I do think the Ravens are a better team, but as you mentioned, the Steelers find a way to win games, and a lot of the time those are important ones. So I do think they will come away with this one. Moving on to Sunday, starting the action out with the Rams and Jets. Rams playing for a lot, Jets not. Well, I guess one could argue that Aaron Rodgers is playing for a lot, but not the Jets.
Yeah, give me the Rams. I don't know. The Rams are starting to look a little spicy here.
Yeah, they're getting healthy.
I would not want to play Matt Stafford and a healthy Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp in the playoffs.
Yeah, me either. And it's looking like they've got first place in their division is theirs to lose. I feel at this point with how they've been playing.
They've tied. They're now tied with. I don't know who's the tiebreak at the moment. They're currently tied with
Seattle, right?
With the Seahawks. Geno Smith came up injured last game. Let's see who are they currently listing in first. The Rams, is that alphabetical or are they listing them in first? Hang on, let me click on the playoff thing.
R does come before.
Yeah,
S.
Scrolling down, NFC's on the bottom. Yes, blah 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 wins tiebreak over Seattle based on head-to-head win percentage. Guess that means the Rams have. Well,
do they play them again?
Yeah, that's the next thing I need to click on. They might play them again.
Might be a big game at the end of the year.
That could be a very big game. I'd say yes. The Rams and Seahawks play in Week 18.
Ooh.
So, that's early leader in the clubhouse for Sunday Night Football in Week 18 right now. Because they always try to put a game that's going to decide the division in a playoff spot in that spot if they can. I'd watch that game good.
Another 1 o'clock game that's a lot better now than I would have thought it was looking at the schedule at the beginning of the year.
Giants-Falcons?
No.
Oh.
No. Eagles-Commanders. Although Commanders' defense has kind of been exposed lately, they still are 9-5, and this is a divisional matchup. Anybody can win divisional matchups, so they could be walking out 10-5. Although I think the Eagles will take that handedly and win 13 or be 13-2 going into next week.
Well, we did hear that from Dave that the Cowboys are getting into the playoffs, so the Commanders have to lose that game. I got the Eagles here. The Eagles are playing well right now. Eagles are currently tied with the Lions, 12-2. Lions are very injured. Lions currently have the tiebreak over the Eagles, but the Eagles maybe have the easier path here going forward. The Eagles, they're 12-2. Like divisions. Is it locked up? Is the division? What's that X mean? I think, is the division locked up? They're certainly in the playoffs. They're 3 games up on Washington, so it's not officially locked up, but might as well be. This is an important game for the Eagles. If Washington wins, I don't think they officially do, but for all intents and purposes, they'd clinch a spot in the playoffs with the 10th win. So But yeah, give me the Eagles in this game.
Commanders are playing for a playoff spot. The Eagles, even if they lose out, they'll be tied with the Commanders, so they're pretty much guaranteed to make the playoffs at this point. But it's only a 3.5 spread towards Philly, which is really surprising for me. I think Philly's defense has played really well. I think they can outmatch the Commanders' offense, and as I mentioned, the Commanders' defense isn't nearly what it was at the beginning of the year.
Commanders' defense not great, and after Saquon, I want to say Saquon struggled last week. That's not accurate, but he didn't go crazy.
He doesn't
like
usually have 2 average weeks in a row.
Just get ready for a Saquon goes crazy kind of game.
We'll head on over to, I'm going to be honest, all these other 1 o'clock.
Atlanta?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about the Falcons.
Michael Penix's first career start?
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, duh, that is important. Yeah.
I mean, the Giants are playing. Oh, no.
This is best case scenario.
I think Drew Lock's starting.
Yes, he is. They announced a couple days ago.
It doesn't matter.
This is best case scenario for Penix Jr., honestly, coming into your first start.
Because the Giants stink.
This is also the first rookie quarterback going into his first start that has has the line a touchdown or more in his favor.
Here's what stat did I just see earlier today? I think I may butcher some of the things. This is the latest. I forget if it was a top 10 or first round quarterback. It might have been a top 10 pick. Whatever the qualifier was, it's the latest in a season that a top 10 pick at quarterback or first round pick, I forget which one, is starting his first career game since Patrick Mahomes.
Because he didn't play his rookie year, right?
He started week 17 because the Chiefs had clinched the division and Alex Smith they gave him a breather and this Mahomes guy came in. You're like, oh, that guy's intriguing. And then, that's how that all went. So there we go. Michael Penix and Patrick Mahomes. I put them in the same sentence. It'll clearly end well for Penix, who apparently found out. Did you see this story? Yeah. He found out. Michael Penix found out that he was going to start this week while he was at Costco getting the $1.50 hot dog.
I was interested.
Electric. All of that's electric.
Was the only reason he went to Costco to get the hot dog? Or was he like, I'm here?
That's
you
don't
go
a
to
great
Costco
question.
And not get a hot dog.
Yeah, I mean, and you get it comes with a soda too. It's a $1.50 for a hot dog and soda.
That's a deal.
Yeah, no,
in today's economy,
the founder of Costco, who is still, I think, the president, or I don't know if he's still, but he's still involved in some way, basically has demanded, like his one demand still over the company is that they do not raise the price of the hot dog.
I love that.
He's like, that is the one thing. Plus, I'm sure they get a few people that, like, maybe you live near Costco and you've got the membership and it's easy to swing by for a hot dog. They know that most people have just spent $300.
Yeah, true.
They could give out the freaking hot dog. You could pay me $1.50 to get the hot dog. You're still making out on that bargain on the amount I just dropped to the register next to the hot dog.
So forever that I can remember, Arnold Arizona iced teas, all of
the
them
dollar can.
Yeah, they were always 99 cents, and I think it was like 10 years ago, I saw the CEO. He said, we'll never go over 99 cents, but then he did.
It was the same thing.
To. And he made a press release where he apologized to the consumers.
What is it now?
It's like 120, I think, 125. He's like, we need to do this to stay in business, and I'm sorry.
It's like, this is so we don't lose money on aluminum cans.
Yeah. Like he was like he had been losing sleepless nights over it.
But you got to toss down a hot dog when you're at when you're at Costco, right? After you've spent like $400 on, like, how did I just spend $350?
Are you a glizzy guy? Are you a burger?
I'd say what you're saying in a backyard cookout situation.
Sure.
Well, I'd say that is normally the time you're choosing between the two.
Yeah, or a sporting event.
I guess that's a different conversation. Baseball game, hot dog.
Yeah, you have
baseball game, hot dog. I'd say general sporting event concessions. I'm picking a hot dog over a hamburger almost every sporting event hamburgers are backyard cookout.
On the grill?
I'm probably going burger, cheeseburger. Though the backyard cookout is one of the only situations where just saying I'll have both and nobody's going to question you.
Yeah, that's very true.
Like,
I feel like
if you do that in any other walk of life, you're like, that's a lot of food. Backyard cookout, they're like, no.
Yeah.
Why do you could have both?
The grill master's like, yeah, I got you.
No, you could have both, and we can put cheese on all of it.
He's excited about it too.
It's like, yeah, this guy's
like, I get
both.
to make another one. Yeah,
okay,
of course.
No, we got extras. Toss on a patty. You want a piece of chicken too? Yeah, load it up. Have the potato salad. So that's my answer to that. But yeah, a Costco hot dog is elite. It's $1.50 plus you get the beverage.
That's a deal.
They're giving you a fountain drink.
That's a deal.
Yeah.
We already talked about the.
And you're like, why do I have more Christmas lights in my cart? I didn't need them. Costco. Why do I have sheets? I didn't need sheets.
Sheets and things.
Yeah, it's just like my cart's full. I think I just paid for my child again. They were in the cart. Did they scan them?
You got the 2 cards.
Yeah,
where you're behind
it's
one
just
and then dragging the other.
Oh man, the whole thing's crazy. A sweater? Huh? Light bulbs?
I feel like you wouldn't be getting your sweaters at Costco.
No.
You're better than that.
Yeah, I was just.
And that's not a knock at Costco. That's an ode to your sweater game.
They're chicken tacos though.
Chicken tacos in general, I'm down for.
No, their chicken taco thing. It's an elite package.
Grilled or crispy chicken kind of guy?
For tacos, I generally prefer grilled.
See,
Yeah.
I'm just not a grilled chicken guy in general.
I'd say for tacos, I think for tacos I'd prefer grilled chicken.
That's a little disappointing.
No,
I accept you though for who you are.
I'd say that's more of a texture flavor thing for the taco.
Are you a texture eater?
Not
I'm not.
in
My
the
brother
taco.
is.
I'd say like the things that make chicken crispy, aka the breading, does not have a place in a taco for me. Like the flavor of it, like it's not.
I completely disagree.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not taco.
I disagree, but I accept.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about the Rams already.
Devin says there's a sweater with light bulbs on it at Sam's Club right now.
That is not surprising at all.
No.
not surprising at all. Well, so let's talk Seahawks taking on the Vikings. Big game for the both of them.
We got a little distracted there by Costco, but that'll happen.
Big game for the both of them.
Anything to not talk about the Giants.
As we said, the Seahawks. Dang. The Seahawks are tied with the Rams right now at 8-6. Big game for them against the Vikings. They could potentially move into first place with the Rams' loss.
Vikings are good.
They are, but I feel like every game right now is still big for them when it comes to opponents that are over 500. And I say
Here's
that
the
because
thing. The Vikings are 12-2.
I know, but
like the Lions are hurt. The Vikings are right there for the division for the 1 seed.
I know, but
it's wild.
I just can't think of him and not think of I'm seeing ghosts.
Sam Darnold.
It's just so hard.
What's funny about Sam Darnold is he gets so Jets associated. You think of the seeing ghosts, and Sam Darnold had literally nothing to do with that. Then the next thing you think of is butt fumble.
Yeah.
That had literally nothing to do with Sam Darnold. I don't even know if he was in college yet.
I don't think he was either.
Yeah, but like it's not his fault at all. But you're like, oh, he's seeing ghosts. Sanchez, butt fumble.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, poor Sam Darnold.
Oh, man. I mean, the Vikings should win, but it's hard to believe in them for me. Sam Darnold's had easily the best year of his career, but that's the thing. He's had the only good year of his career. So is it going to fall off? I don't know.
Yeah, Kevin McConnell's a really good coach. I think that he's a fantastic offensive and quarterback coach, and that's why it's working. We used all the music, Mike.
That's true.
Yeah, we still got time though.
One of my best pals is a Vikings fan, so I always secretly root for him. Unless they're playing the Steelers, obviously. So.
Okay, do you need to secretly root for the Vikings? You can be more. No one's gonna. You can more openly
I get
root for the Vikings.
ostracized by my family members whenever I say that I hope another team wins something.
Besides the Steelers?
Yes.
Okay.
Like especially my dad. If we're watching a game and the Steelers are playing somebody, and I'm like, oh, I like that cornerback a lot. He looks at me like, how dare you?
Oh.
And I'm like, Dad, we're still gonna beat him. His team's trash, but he's good.
Okay, your dad listens sometimes, so he may have just heard you say that.
He does.
Yeah.
And he's sitting in his car punching air right now.
Yeah, this may have just ruined your weekend. Apologies to Mike's dad.
You know who's going to have a ruined weekend? The Patriots when the Bills absolutely destroy them.
Just bang! Josh Allen is going to crack them upside the head.
Josh Allen's my MVP, and the reason I'm so steadfast on this opinion is because I understand that him and Lamar have very similar stats, but Lamar Jackson is leading, in my opinion, the best offense in the league. Josh Allen has created the best offense in the league.
I was on this so long ago. This was like my February, March MVP pick for the year because of the narrative. Mm-hmm. Like if the Bills keep winning and Josh Allen keeps producing, with Diggs gone, he's going to get all the credit, and it's exactly what has happened.
Yeah.
Shout out to Josh Allen.
I'm happy for you, and I want to give you credit. I also want to say that I called it, but I don't want to give myself credit because I've called it for the last 3 years. Like I've been waiting for Josh to finally hit that peak.
The narrative was perfect.
It was
for it this year.
It reminds me a lot of when KD left OKC and Russell Westbrook became the city of Oklahoma City.
Oh yeah, just like that was easy to call.
Very easy.
Like, he was going to get the MVP that year. They came in like 5th in the West.
Yeah, and then he averaged a triple-double.
Now people like look back and they're like, oh, it's the stupidest MVP of all time. Nah. At the time, it was so good.
See, at the time, I was like one of 15 people in the corner being like, no, I hate this.
People are now like, analytics, whatever. Like, no. But at the time,
statistically, it was so bad, though.
But it just felt right.
Like, I get it. He averaged a triple-double, first one since Oscar. But, like, the dude averaged 5 turnovers and shot like 22% from 3, man.
The vibes were immaculate.
And obviously, his only rebounder was Steve Adams. And Steve Adams, there's so many clips of him being like, take the rebound. We got to get off that.
The vibes.
The vibes were there, though. I will give him
vibes. You're 100% correct, Mike, and that's what makes it wrong because the vibes were great.
We can talk about a 5 total win matchup if you want, or we can move past the Jaguars.
I said we got like 10 seconds left.
We do.
Yeah, we got to.
All right, Sunday Night Football. Buccaneers taking on the Cowboys.
The Cowboys season ends on Sunday night.
Dave in Syracuse is excited for it.
Sorry, Dave. Bucs are winning that game, and the Bucs are going to win that division. Okay, there we are. With that, we'll take a break. We'll tell you what's on tap after this. Q Sports Talk, ESPN Radio.
We got really off time.
Are you doing Crunch tonight?
Yeah.
Who are they playing? Hockey. Another team. I have it written down somewhere. And I think the college football playoff game's on our AM, I do believe. The Crunch are playing. What day is today? The 20th. The Crunch are at Rochester. You take that, Amerks. Does your show start at 50 or 45? 7:05.
Probably 50. I can text Lucas, though. Actually, I'll do that now, so I don't forget.
Crunch Rochester. It's on tap.
I love Lucas. When I make Lucas laugh, it like makes my day.
You're writing jokes. Got a list of jokes for Lucas for tonight.
No, it's got to be off the cuff. I feel like Lucas is a man who enjoys comedy that he doesn't expect.
I just got the talkback button ready to surprise.
You already told Jordan when you went for the pod, right?
Yeah, I did.
Later, skater.
I beat Mike today in air hockey. Woo! One shot. Yeah. Eminem's going to write songs about it. No hoops pregame tomorrow, Govendo, because of the women's game, but we'll be rocking some post-game. Some post-game tomorrow. Oh, I just saw this KC fan put the hot dog on top of the burger. I mean, that sounds elite. That sounds elite. San Diego Q's has got bacon wrapped hot dogs at Petco. I did not buy a child. I'd say what happens often, Supercat, is that like your child is like in the cart, and at Costco, like they take the cart over to the side to like scan the stuff. You just never know. They might boop scan your kid. Hot dog in a burger bun or a taco. Yeah, you can put a hot dog anywhere. Have the men and women, yes, Devin, not often. It was always a potential issue of how to do it with the men for a lot of reasons. Obviously, the crowd's very large normally, If you were to put the women first, it was an issue because, especially with Jim Boeheim, they didn't do shoot-arounds, so Jim liked to have a lot of time before the game available for teams to warm up. If you were to do the women after and try to transition it quickly, they were always worried about people leaving and then different season ticket holders for courtsides, which I always found kind of silly. I just thought toss them out there and go, but nice, Kev. And then I believe the ACC has a rule, I think, if I'm remembering this right, and if it is still a rule, that for conference games, you must have 5 hours between tip or something. You're like not even allowed to do it. Yeah, lockout. That was always my thought. Let's try to find a yes instead of coming up with no's. Just try it.
All across CNY, it's the 315. Here's Brian Higgins.
All right, rolling along here on this Friday as we come to the end of our time together today.
Here's what's on tap tonight.
Oh, well, what do we got on tap tonight? The Crunch on the road in Rochester against the Amherst. That is a 7:05 puck drop. I believe that means countdown to crunch time will be starting at 6:50, but tune in at 6:45 just in case. You don't want to miss anything that Lucas has going on tonight for that. The Crunch will be on the FN. On the AM here in Syracuse, we will have the college football playoff games. The entirety of the college football playoffs will be on ESPN Radio, so we'll have that on our airwaves as best we can around Syracuse programming and all that stuff going forward. It is Notre Dame and Indiana tonight. Tomorrow, women's basketball at 11. Tim Leonard for that. The men play at noon. I'll be with you for postgame here 2-ish on Q Sports Talk and on the radio to break down whatever we see at the Barclays Center tomorrow. With that, have a good night, everybody. Talk to you after the men's game tomorrow.
The 315 with Brian.